So what is validity? Well, validity, obviously we understand, we have seen this equation for a long time now. It talks about the accuracy of our scores, right? It talks about the scientific utility of the scores that we have obtained. Okay. Now, validity is mostly concerned with whether the data that you are getting from your scale is or your measure is accurately depicting the construct that you wanted to measure, right? So whether it is accurate or not. Now, there are three kinds of validity that we will talk about, and we will test two of these validity in this workshop. So there are three kinds of validity. The first one is called as content validity. The second is the construct validity. The third is the criterion related validity. Now, as the name suggests, and the reading that I have given you, Madhu Viswanathan's, is that first chapter is a very good reading on validity and scale development. So content validity is very critical for people who are actually developing a measure, right? People who are developing a scale or a measure for a construct in their research. So content validity or content related validity refers to whether the set of items that you have, they adequately reflect the content, okay, of the content domain of the construct that you are trying to measure. So for example, let us say you want to measure motivation, right? Now, or preference for numerical information, the example that we have seen earlier. Now, if you have to measure preference for numerical information, you need to understand what is it that this construct is talking about. What is the definition of this construct? What kind of behaviors am I interested in actually capturing in this construct? So I need to understand what goes inside this construct. So I need to understand the content, and this is a subjective judgment. How do you get to this? You will read the literature, okay? You will interview people, you will talk to experts, you will talk to people who are living that phenomena or who have familiarity with the construct that you are talking about. So this content development is a qualitative exercise. It forms the foundation of scale development or measure development, and it is a qualitative exercise. You will have to exercise judgment here. You will need to understand what is my content through both literature as well as talking to people. There are no numbers here. Nobody will tell you, well, this is a good number. We usually say you should do interviews till you exhaust the content and you reach a stage of theoretical saturation, right? That means you start getting repeated similar responses from different people. But still, there are no numbers. Nobody will tell you whether you should have 10 items, you should have 15 items, you should have 20 items. This is all subjective. Then once you have the items ready, okay, once you have the item set ready, you now need to test it, okay? You now need to test them with constructs to which they are theoretically related. So we talk about convergent validity. Convergent validity is of one, you can test the construct that you have, the measure that you have developed with maybe some other similar measures of the construct. So that is one way of doing it. So you have developed a measure, you have another measure of the construct, and you test the correlation between scores obtained through your measure and the score obtained from another uh, similar measure. That is one way of testing convergent validity. The second way of convergent validity is actually testing whether the construct that you have and the measure that you have developed, okay, that converges with a construct to which it should be theoretically related. Okay, so that is another way of testing convergent validity. Then there comes discriminant validity. That means the construct, my construct is different from another construct which is different in meaning. So that is called as discriminancy testing. We will do both convergent validity and discriminant validity when we will be doing this. These are quantitative tests. So if you have preference for numerical information, and let's say you have social desirability, two constructs. Now, there is no reason to believe that preference for numerical information and social desirability, they should correlate with each other. And hence, what you need to do or what you will show in your analysis is that these two constructs, preference for numerical information measured through my construct and social desirability, they are distinct from each other. There is no correlation between the two, right? So that is called as the discriminant validity checking. Then there is another kind which is called as criterion related. This is also, we can say this is a kind of a nomological validity test. What is criterion? Criterion is an outcome, So what you show is, well, if I have preference for numerical information, I will be good in performance, let's say. So there is an outcome. That means people who have preference for numerical information, they actually perform well at work. They perform well. So you collect data from your own measure of PNI and you collect the outcome measure, which is performance. And you show that preference for numerical information will lead to better performance. So this is criterion. What is criterion? Criterion is an outcome. So you show that there is also criterion related validity. All of these are used to actually show that your measure that you have developed, okay, that you have developed are good. So for people who are actually developing measures, you have to go through all these steps to show to the reader or the reviewer that you have enough evidence that your measure is the valid measure for your construct, right?